also mentioned that you are a polyglot with Indian languages. What are the languages that you speak?
What are the two conditions where a chief minister in jail has to step down?
Suppose you have done your medical from the government college, and when it comes to the service to the state or nation, you have applied for civil services. Don't you think that you have blocked a seat for a bona fide student who can serve for the society?
Sir?
Yeah, please come in.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Please be seated.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Prashanth, I've been going through DF and I've been realizing that you have got umpty number of medals. And you are also the president of so many societies and so many things that I'm unable to comprehend what it is. Can you tell me something about, or rather, can you tell us something about your achievements, about the things that you have mentioned at DF?
So with respect to the medals that I've mentioned, those are 14 number, and that is because there are 19 subjects in our MBBS curriculum, and there are furthermore super specialty subjects for which they do conduct proficiency exams separately. So those are a culmination of both the medals that are awarded on the basis of university marks plus the proficiency exam separately conducted. All put together comes to 40, along with the medals for the best outgoing student. And sir, as far as the leadership positions are concerned, I had the opportunity to be part of the Indian Medical Association, both as its national president for the undergraduate students wing, which is the Medicos wing, and also as part of the Students Network Organization India. So that is a global organization that is affiliated to the WHO and the TOPPER, which is towards the unity for health. So these are two major organizations. Apart from that, I've also been part of the Medical Students Association of India and certain conferences like PANCOR, which was conducted during the pandemic period by SNO India as well, sir.
Very nice to hear that. You also mentioned that you are a polyglot with Indian languages. What are the languages that you speak?
So I speak the languages of Hindi, Tamil, English, Telugu, and with respect to Malayalam, partly, and Marathi, a few words, sir.
But English is not an Indian language.
So
Or is it
since
so?
it's part of the associate language again.
Yeah, very nice. Now, with such distinctive capabilities in the medical field, let us say we make you the health minister of the government of India with a cabinet rank. What are the steps that you take to make healthcare affordable in the Indian context?
Sir, I believe that the Ayushman Bharat Yojana, which the Honorable Government of India has already brought in, has ushered in various reforms with respect to affordability in the government sector, considering that it gives us 5 lakh worth for a family, insurance coverage, and also all the BPL families are covered. But what more can be done in this context is to add more coverage. Say the out-of-pocket expenditure stands at 48%. So we could probably curb that by allotment of funds for outpatient care, and also we could ensure that families which fall in the middle income categories, say the EWS categories, are also covered under the same scheme. So that would be one. The second thing, sir, would be with respect to ensuring that there are point of care centers, like say health ATMs could be established at the PHCs where people could take up diagnostic services free of cost. And more often, the private healthcare has a corporatization policy, because of which the healthcare costs have escalated to huge amounts. And the recent guideline, which has been set by the Honorable Supreme Court of India, asking the Union government to form a committee to ensure that there is a uniformed standardization of healthcare services, can help us in this regard.
It is 70% of the healthcare in India is in the private sector. So the challenge is more with the private sector rather than with the government sector, in fact, especially in terms of putting affordable healthcare. What are the steps that you are going to usher in order to, I would not be using the word rein in the private sector, but perhaps make it more accessible to the private, to the citizenry at large? How do you do that?
So with respect to the private sector, and they being more than the government sector, is more because people feel that there is a longer waiting time in the government hospitals, and that the standard of quality of care might be a little lower at the government setup as compared vis-a-vis to the private hospitals. So this image about the government hospital need to be removed, and there are very good examples for the same. My own institute, the Madras Medical College, houses even Bangladeshi nationals who come for treatment at our institute. And certain examples of the same can be taken to the general public so that they take up more services in the government hospitals. And as far as the private hospitals are concerned, sir, I believe the standardization of the healthcare setup is one, and the removal of dichotomy between the pharmaceutical nexus industry and the medical personnel, or maybe the corporate chains, needs to be curbed and cut down through ethical regulations.
How do you do that? You mentioned about ethical regulations. You're not mentioning about practical regulations, in fact, And ethical is the last word which the private sector would like to, because see, ultimately they have a philosophy, and we are not blaming them for philosophy, in fact, The profits or the shareholders' profits become very important, in fact. And that is the guiding principle on which the entire private sector functions, in fact, That is dharma.
Yes.
So how do you say that they have the dharma in a manner in which it is ethical at large, rather than ethical only to the sector in which they are working? How do you do that?
So the very practice of ethics into governance is how the corporate social responsibility came into play. And as part of standardization of healthcare, they could probably allot a portion of the amount, which has already been happening in certain colleges. Like I've seen it in Ramachandra, where there is a facility where they give a subsidized cost of healthcare treatment to a certain population, while those who can afford a higher grade of healthcare setups go for a different setup in the same hospital. So there are two wings within even private institutions when they come to work. And that is more in the case of those institutions which have a medical college. So maybe we could ensure this particular setup happens in all the hospitals. And right now, the union government has also made a claim asking the IRDA to ensure that insurance coverage is rendered free of cost in private hospitals as well beforehand, just in case patients turn up over there. So these could probably be certain initiatives, sir.
Have you heard about Devi Shetty? Dr.
Yes,
Devi
sir.
Shetty?
Yes, sir. He's the famous cardiologist.
How is he able to make it so affordable to, while the other hospitals are not able to do so? How does he do that?
So it's about the profit motives that each person.
He's among the richest doctors in the country.
Yes, sir. So I have limited knowledge about his model.
Now let's come over to the issue of the Jhola Chap doctors, in fact, Do they have a role to play in the Indian medical scenario? I hope you understand the concept of Jhola Chap doctors. Doctors are not accredited as what you call an MBBS or an MD, but they may be MS, or they may be rendering a lot of consultations at a very affordable cost.
Yes, sir.
And the diagnostic procedures are very good, in fact, and the type of medicine that they give is also very, very effective. Despite that, the type of what you call medical attendance that they are able to provide, why aren't they being banned?
Sir, if it's the AYUSH doctors that we are talking about.
No, not the AYUSH.
If it's
to some extent, yes. To some extent, no. It's something like, let's talk in terms of Bengali doctors. Bengali, Chanmari doctor, what do they call them? What do you call them? Very, 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 very popular, in fact, because they're so affordable, in fact. So there's a lot of discussion going on. But the government always says, if you do that, there will be no healthcare, there will be no affordable healthcare for any person at all. What do you have to say about this?
Sir, I'm not aware of the exact medical personnel that you'd mentioned about, sir. What I'm aware is about the AYUSH healthcare personnel, or maybe quacks if they exist.
No, we are not talking about quacks at all.
So with
the parallel systems which operates.
So with my limited knowledge on the other part, I'll not be able to opine on that. But if it were about the AYUSH practitioners, because there's an overlap, as rightly mentioned by you, sir. So if I may talk about that.
Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. So as far as the AYUSH practitioners are concerned, there have been successful practices as well. Like we had the Nilavemba Kudineer come up with respect to COVID, dengue, and also the papaya leaf has been used for dengue. So there are certain successful established practices. And also the Honorable Prime Minister in his Mann Ki Baat edition had talked about the AYUSH practice because of which the vision of the daughter of the Zimbabwe president had been restored. So there are extremely good practices like yoga as well, which have been envisioned as part of the program globally. So, but then there are issues with respect to more research that is needed. And when AYUSH is integrated with the allopathic medicine, which we call integrated medicine, it is of great virtue. And the recent establishment of an integrated medicine center at AIIMS New Delhi is again a very good concept of how AYUSH doctors can be reckoned into the system. So I truly believe that the aim of AYUSH doctors practicing medicine partly is definitely extremely good initiative, except for the surgical part, which the allopathic doctors can take up.
And how about the Unani system? You have any comments on that?
So as far as the Unani or the other systems are concerned, like specifically if I were to talk about Unani, it does have certain Greek medicine initiatives that have been put up into it. And those are of not absolute efficacy, but part efficacy has definitely been proven. So those could be used as allied health services alongside the allopathic system.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Sir.
sir.
Okay, Prashant, what are the two conditions where a chief minister in jail has to step down? No names, no political nuances.
Sir, I'm not aware of any specific condition per se, but if he loses the confidence of the MLAs that have been elected under the particular legislative party or the coalition, then he will have to step down. Or the second would be on his own free volition when when he has been convicted for a particular offense, which entails a period more than 2 years, he will have to step down under the Prevention of Corruption Act.
Okay. Fine. There's something called fact check unit.
Yes, sir.
Notification was given, and Supreme Court has given a stay order on that. What is it all about, and why the stay has been given? What was the impact of that?
So the fact check unit has been a move by the Honorable Government of India, but under the Press Information Bureau, where they wish to establish certain news items which they consider might be fake information. As in, rather, they would like to point out that this could probably be a fake information that needs to be removed from the social media platforms within a duration of 36 hours from the notification released by the Government of India. And why this has been considered as invasion of the government on third-party social media platforms, or be it the Editors Guild as well, is more because they feel that the government will start regulating what news can be put out and what cannot be put out. And there is no third person who can check on which facts have been considered to be true by the Government of India. Like, no one checks the fact check unit basically. So that again leads to a restriction on the freedom of speech and expression as envisaged in Article 19 of the Constitution. So this has been put on hold because the Bombay High Court had a split verdict, and it has gone to a third judge for deciding upon the judgment, until which it shall be on hold by the verdict of the Honorable Supreme Court.
Okay, fine. Brain chip was implanted very recently on a boy who was like 29 years of age, and he can move with his thoughts, the keyboard and all those, cursor, etc. What will be the implication of this in future? Plus and the minus.
Sir, as far as the Neuralink chip that was implanted with 1024 electrodes is concerned, it's a brainchild of the SpaceX chair, Elon Musk, or rather the Tesla group. And as far as the initiative is concerned, I would put out the pros first, sir. So there is a chance that it could lead to singularity, where the particular chip can control humans and even go beyond human intelligence. So that is one thing that could happen. And the second thing is about how even debilitated persons due to certain chronic neurological conditions will be able to move, execute commands with the computer brain-human interface that they'll be able to map through. So that would be the second. And the day is not too far when, just as how artificial intelligence bet human minds in case of a chess game, the same can probably happen with respect to singularity, where right now ChatGPT, say, has an IQ of 155, while the ChatGPT 6.0 version is known to have an IQ of 1550, which is almost more than 10 times a human IQ. So these would be with respect to the pros and cons. And one major issue is the ethical concern associated with Neuralink and the safety issues that it can have on a chip which is being implanted on the brain, since it's a foreign object.
Is the operation difficult or easy?
Naturally, it is a difficult surgery, sir, because considering that it's something meddling with the brain, human brain, there is a risk to life as well. There can be infections that can occur, and that can also lead to a loss of life any day.
Okay. What is the concept of epigenetics?
So epigenetic regulation is about the peripheral genes that are involved. It's beyond the genetic concept, where there can be methylation of certain DNA based islands, say the CPG islands that we say, and that can again lead to human genetic changes. So the peripheral factors that in turn contribute to a genetic change would be epigenetic changes.
Can you give me an example how the genes can be changed merely by thoughts and perception?
So by thoughts and perception, I'm not aware of it exactly.
Okay. Right. There's a lot about fake drugs these days.
Yes.
Recently, fake cancer drugs were caught, spurious. So, how would you control this menace as a health minister or some position in the government?
So I think the organizations such as the Central Drug Control authorities need to be more vigilant in controlling the samples, especially that are imported and exported from different countries. Like there had been an issue with the Gambia cough syrup, for example, where there was an adulterant present in it, the ethylene glycol, which led to the children deaths in Gambia. And something has been reported on similar lines in Uzbekistan and Afghanistan as well. So the one would be with respect to the samples that are procured for checking. So those need to be more vigilant. The second is about the biosimilar drugs that are used, especially with cancer care. And those biosimilars need to be established with respect to their efficacy, because that could be a change in the chemical compounds and the composition that is being made by different pharmaceutical companies. So that would be the second. The third thing is with respect to the control by medical practitioners, a post-marketing surveillance can also be taken up. So that that happens to be the phase 4 clinical trials, if we were to say, and that can also be used as a tool to ensure that the drug is particularly efficacious and not spurious.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Prashanth, you have passed out from Madras Medical College.
Yes, sir.
Is it a government college or?
Yes, sir. It's the state-run Apex Medical Institution.
How many, means how much fee you have paid for entire 4 years of course?
So 25,000.
And suppose somebody is done that MBBS from a private college, how much they have to pay the fee generally, normally?
If it's through the government quota,
Obviously.
so through the government quota in a self-financing medical college, it happens to be 5 lakhs per year.
And
So,
it comes around more than
25
20.
lakhs odd, sir.
Now my questions to you, suppose you have done your medical from the government college, and when it comes to give to the service to the state or nation, you have applied for civil services. Don't you think that you have blocked a seat for a bona fide student who can serve for the society?
Sir, I totally feel that the IAS serves the motto of excellence in action. And my medical education expertise, I believe, can be put forward towards excelling in the field that I've taken with respect to the administration. And that can in turn empower more doctors to get better in their services, and probably that will be a motivating factor is what I feel, sir.
My next question, suppose you are a district magistrate and one data has come to your notice that your district has suffered from, many people suffer from hypertension and blood sugar. What advice you can give to your chief medical officer of your district?
So the first advice that I would render would be with respect to opt-in approach, or opt-out approach of the medical patients, where any patient who visits a primary healthcare setup shall be screened for diabetes and hypertension, and hence he shall be referred in case of complications to a secondary or tertiary center, and if there are no complications, he shall be treated with suitable drugs immediately. So that would be the first. The second would be with respect to roping in technology on the same, information and communication technology, so that there is a better surveillance as to which areas in the particular district have a more increased prevalence of diabetes and hypertension. And in those cases, the door-to-door survey can be taken, where ASHA workers and A&M workers can help us in screening patients and rendering medical service on their doorsteps, which has been again taken by the government of Tamil Nadu in the form of the Makkale Thedi Maruthuvam scheme. And the third thing would be with respect to patients who come, we could probably counsel them with respect to the diet that they need to take. With respect to the diabetes, it should be a low glycemic diet. And with respect to the hypertension, it needs to be a low salt diet, which is called the DASH diet, or the dietary approaches to stop hypertension. So these are certain measures that we take, sir.
Can you relate with that index that coming, that happy index, something that has come, do you relate with that the hypertension is related to your happiness?
Sir, in part, definitely yes, because the World Happiness Index has thrown India to a position beyond the first 100 countries. And that is more so because it's a subjective assessment of what happiness means and what contentment could be. And since the quality of life is a subjective measure again, so it depends totally on the concerned person, and leading a stress-free environment is pivotal to decrease hypertension.
What is Hippocratic oath in medical term?
So the Hippocratic oath is it believes on the principle of primum non nocere, which is doing no harm to the patient and standing by the principles of medical ethics and integrity until the last breath.
Do you aware of what is Mohalla clinic?
Yes, sir. It's the health and family welfare clinics instituted by the Honorable Government of Delhi, where patients can come treat themselves for minimal ailments and shall be referred in case of higher degree issues, sir.
You played chess.
Yes, sir.
So how many types of competition means in chess, and how you become grandmaster?
So there are a set criteria of nearly 8 to 10 points wherein a person can become a grandmaster, and those are through different tournaments that are conducted by FIDE or other organizations. So the one would be, say, a person gets to be a world champion, he automatically becomes a grandmaster. The second would be an LO rating of more than 2,500, which is garnered by more than 3 chess tournaments that are FIDE rated, that are taken up, and the competitor needs to be at a rating of minimum of 2,400 in the LO rating. And based on the candidates tournament, say a person qualifies for the same, then again he'll be considered as a grandmaster. And with respect to people taking up the position of grandmaster and competing to be the world championship, say right now Ding Liren is the world champion, and if someone competes and wins over him, again they become a grandmaster. So there are some 10 criteria on the same lines.
And how many types of competition in swimming in Olympic as of now?
Sir, I don't have the exact number, but I remember the names of the competitions. One would be with respect to the individual swimming events in the 4 different competitive strokes. One would be with respect to the breaststroke, it could be the backstroke, the freestyle, or the butterfly stroke. And then we do have events which happen in relay with respect to the group practices of swimming. So again, these 4 strokes are put up on a basis of relay competition with different distances. It could be with respect to a 400 meter or an 800 meter or a 200 meter. So there are 3 varieties of such competitions, and Michael Phelps holds the record with respect to Olympic medals for 23 over 4 Olympics.
And who is the fastest swimmer as of now in the world in male category?
So from my knowledge, I think it should be Michael Phelps.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
When is your actual interview?
April 1, sir.
April 1. Regarding to your attire, I think that...
So I have a different one to wear for that day. Like it's a blue coat with a white shirt and a red tie.
Okay, fine. And that shoe has to be changed.
Yes, sir. I'll
Okay,
do that.
fine. Now coming to that, some of the questions which I have asked related to sports. I think whatever I have asked the question, you have explained more than that what we not required. Like I have asked about the swimming, how many types of swimming or maybe competition you have taken the name of Michael Phelps and all. And even in that case of chess also, you have taken the name of who is the grandmaster. I haven't asked you. So just try to, means while giving your answer, what we required or maybe the nature of the question, accordingly you have to give the answer.
Sure, sir.
Thank you.
I had also written Michael Phelps, in fact, So don't go beyond the scope of the question.
Yes, sir.
Because see, ultimately, the people who are over here, they literally know a lot of things in Patna, and they have gone through the cycle of work and the cycle of knowledge and the cycle of everything, So that is one area. Try to understand the question very, very clearly and try to frame the answer accordingly.
Yes, sir.
Because even if you try to be too bombastic, so people can be much more bombastic than what you are. Now, I was asking, especially in terms of your about how do you make private sector accessible, and you're ranting more on the government sector. You have a point. I'm not saying you do not have a point, but the question is framed the other way around.
Yes, sir.
The accessibility into the private sector hospitals. Well, there are certain long-term ways in which we have been doing, especially that you make perhaps the government sector more acceptable to the mass, or maybe the perception needs to change
Yes,
from
sir.
what it is at this point of time. But the other issues are more important, in fact. So try to understand the focus of the question, so that you do not see. Knowing a lot of things is one area. Going out of way obviously makes you go out of the focus. I hope you are able to appreciate.
Yes, sir.
Listen to your questions, take a pause of a second and a half, then answer the question, so that you are able to focus on that. You can think and you can make it. Then the other question, why IAS, in fact, because see, ultimately with such strong credentials, in fact, academic background, so this question is more likely to come up. And then all of a sudden that once you get into the IAS, so you can get better in the service or get better in life. But that's not a good answer. And this is one question which I'm anticipating for you.
Sir, the exact thing, like, because it was the part of the question, like, I answered that part, but the actual shift from why MBBS to civil services is more because, like, I think I'll be able to cater to 70 to 80 patients here.
Agreed.
a day.
And we appreciate, the answer. Now you have got your interview on the first, in fact,
Yes, sir.
But give a thought to it, and make your answer much more focused.
Sure,
Because
sir.
see, ultimately what happens, there'll be 5 members in the board. Right now we are doing with 3. That's why we're going for second round. So you'll hardly, and the interview is going to last between 25 and 30 minutes, maybe 22 minutes also. If the board feels that you're an outstanding kind of, I mean,